Welcome to our Setting Up Your Navigation Elements lecture. In this lecture, we're going to talk about the importance of navigation, and then we're going to go into navigation itself. We're going to talk a little bit about menus, and finally, permalinks. Where am I? We've all been on these sites where we get there, we see some information, we're not sure how we got there, and more importantly, we have no idea where to go next. So that's kind of the important aspect of navigation. Good navigation is the grease that lubricates good SEO and good user experience. If you want Google to successfully navigate your site, crawl it, and index it, then having good, strong navigation elements are critically important to that. And same with users. As I described, we've all been on those web pages where we don't really understand where we're meant to go next, and that's poor navigation. It's terrible when you go through all the effort and you do all the work to get a user onto your site, be it through SEO or other means, perhaps social or even, heaven forbid, paid traffic, and they get to your site and then they don't know where to go next or how to get wherever they want to go. And ultimately what happens is those people just leave and you've lost that potential visitor. So there's a number of elements to navigation, and it's really important that you keep it simple. Sites that have overly complex navigation have the problem that they inundate people with choice, and sometimes there are two problems with that. One is people are overwhelmed, and so they choose nothing. Or more importantly, the abundance of navigation options and places to go and click on things and go visit other pages is so extreme that they actually never read any content. They just bounce from one page to the next. So you really want to keep your navigation clean and simple. You want your navigation elements in prominent locations. So this is why most sites have navigation at the top, so a menu. They might have footer links down the bottom, and then sometimes on there'll be a sidebar. Or if you're on some kind of a landing page, then the navigation elements are usually related to taking some kind of an action. You want to use standard visual cues, and this is a mistake that people make over and over again. And this isn't just an SEO issue, but it's just a general usability problem. People expect certain things to happen on web pages. So when you go see a menu and you hover over it, you expect that to either gain an underline or have a drop-down menu or something. You expect that. If you start breaking those standard usability visual cues, it becomes very disconcerting for a person to navigate, and they have a tendency then to leave. So stick to the standards. It's easier to do, and it's better for the users. Menus and links are the key aspect of good navigation. Again, those are things people are used to, but it's the simple things that take people from one place to the next. So they need to name them properly and put them in prominent locations. So let's talk a little bit about menus. Having good menus is a really often overlooked aspect of good SEO. What you need to remember is that menu items are effectively backlinks. So when Google is crawling your site, it's looking for links to take it to the next parts of your site. So that's what your menus do. They show Google and your visitors the other pages in your site in a very logical and structured way. And so you have to make sure that the menu items are descriptive and that they all work. The number of times you go to somebody's website and the menu items don't work is staggering. And actually Google, from an SEO perspective, when they find those broken links and menu items that lead to pages that don't exist, they actually look very negatively on that. And if you have a lot of those kind of 404 errors from your menu items, it can actually negatively impact your SEO. Keep your menus simple. It's, visually, nobody wants to see, fireworks happen when you hover over a menu, and fading in and fading out, and all those wonderful little visual effects you can implement on a menu. Just don't do it. Keep it simple, nice and easy, nothing fancy. You also just want to focus on the important pages and parts of your site. So one of the things that you see a lot of people do is there are way too many elements in the menus. So you'll go to a menu, you'll hover on it, it'll have a drop down list, and then in the drop down list you hover over a menu item, and then there's another drop down list, and you end up 4 and 5 layers deep of menus. You don't want that on your web page. It's unworkable for an end user, and it's really frustrating. So this again comes back to site structure. You need to think through your overall site structure, the silos and things that you're going to use, but you also have to think about how that directly impacts your menu items. And so making sure that menu items for the most important pages is a key aspect of how you think about your menus and navigation. So we're going to talk a little bit about permalinks. Those are the links that are created by WordPress to uniquely identify your page. So for example, http rapidactioncentral.com/contact us is our contact page. So you can see that it has, the front part, which is the URL. We can put that aside, but we have that easy named page, contact-us, and that is common, sensible, understandable for a user. And you often see on pages where instead of that being the page being named with the permalink contact us, it's contact 74853.html. That's just not workable. People don't remember that, but people do remember contact us or about us or privacy or whatever. And WordPress makes this really easy for you, but it also gives you a lot of flexibility. And one of the downsides of flexibility is that it allows you the opportunity to make mistakes. The best bet, really, when you're setting up your permalinks is to go to the common settings option in WordPress and use the post name, which is usually the 4th option down. And what it'll do is it'll set your site name / the post name. So when you create a page or a post, the title of that page or post will become the permanent link. Now, those have to be unique, so bear that in mind. Now, keywords, depending on who you talk to, keywords in your permalinks can be important, but I tend to try and focus on making sure that the title is descriptive of what the page is, and then that should in and of itself be good enough for Google. So don't stuff your permalinks with keywords. So in summary, good navigation makes your site easier to traverse, not just for Google and thus giving you better SEO, but it also makes it much easier for your users. You want to keep your menus very simple, very clean, and your permalinks should always stay consistent. If you set them up at the beginning and you make a mistake, when you change them, it can actually become really quite difficult to fix that. So make sure that when you set these up that you start by thinking about what you want that to be. And I usually just recommend keeping it simple with, using the post name option.